This meeting is being recorded.
Hey everyone, welcome. So today I have the honor of interviewing Jason Davis, the man that woke me up once upon a time. Jason, how are you?
I'm doing really, really good. How about you?
Been busy.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody's so busy right
I've
now.
been very busy, but I still take time for myself during the day. So, folks, tonight we have a lot of interesting ground to cover. Jason, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how me and you, and eventually me, came into being?
Well, if we go back to the early 2000s, even a little bit earlier, I was turned on to modern alchemy through the same thrust that everybody else was with David Hudson and all those guys, and I bought some from one of the producers, and they were supposed to be the best. You know who they were, and I remember you telling them that my powder was the Sherman tank of white powders. And they said, gosh, how do we get some? And you said, well, I think he would just send it to you if you asked, if you remember that, right? But what I found out real fast is it wasn't on a high enough level, and so I started making my own. And then one thing led to another, started opening me up. I realized that I had a team of beings from a higher level standing around me all the time, and I'm not much of a visionary in the psychic ways, as you know, even though that's changing somewhat these days. And then the messaging got pretty clear. I started having dreams. They were teaching me. It was pretty wild, and it was a real fast upgrade. And that was right around 2000, 2001 or two. We got into the business, and everything took off from there. And then you got in touch with me around 2004, 2005, right?
Summer 2004, yeah.
Yeah, and that of course shifted everything into a very high gear, because once Peter and I started working together, we made jokes of how we were flinging lightning back and forth across the chasm of the country. And that, if I remember right, was something that you were being directly shown from the gang upstairs, and we were at that time working, quite a lot with Saint Germain and others. And for those of your audience who don't really know, Peter is sort of the reincarnation of Saint Germain in a lot of ways. And so and then treasure hunting came and all that kind of stuff. I started a company called ZP Tech. I wound up selling it to a friend, and but I wasn't getting out of the alchemy business. They were very clear about that, and so I started Blue Emerald and continued making alchemy and taking it all to a higher level and everything. And then I, just like Peter, I get guided to make things, and one of those is what we're going to be talking about. And that about brings us up to speed, I think.
Just a little bit in there. we seem to not touch upon. So you have a book coming out. Tell us about that.
Yeah, about 7 years ago, I knew that I was going to need to write a novel, and I knew its subject matter was going to involve one thing, and that was really all I knew, and that was the planet Saturn. And I don't know how much of your audience is aware, but Saturn is very involved with what goes on here on Earth and its forms, and holds a lot of the forms in place. And it goes on and on how Saturn is involved, especially in the encoding of this reality. And so I knew it was going to involve that. And I had gone away from fictional writing in the early 90s. I'd written two or three novels at that time, and it really just started to get into explanation writing, and that's so different than fiction, because I was basically telling people how things work in the universe. the real workings of how the universe is, quantum mechanics, and all that kind of thing. And it is so different than writing great fiction. And so it took me years and years just to readjust how I did things. And so about 2 years ago, it's really kind of a channeled book. A lot of it's coming from the gang upstairs, and it's a fictional account, but it's the story of a guy that it takes place in 2040, near future sci-fi. It's what you'd call literary with sci-fi elements. And there's a quantum served alternate reality in it where all you do is drink a cup of nano and then put on a radio frequency headset and you're in another reality. And that stuff's coming sooner than even 2040. And since it's quantum served, it functions on the subconscious domain. And so anybody who has, and everybody is included in this, who has stuff buried way deep inside is going to be, basically on the subconscious and all the subtle fields. And so a quantum domain subconscious, that such a reality, if they wanted to use it that way, could show you everything that you need to get cleared out of your system. And so the main character basically gets railroaded into basically a psychotherapeutic mode called deep climb in this alternate reality, and gets yanked all over the place while they clear him up and turn him into a super being is basically what happened. And they call it training because they have this immensely important mission in mind for him, and it winds up to be a time-bending, mind-bender book that's a blast to read. And I mean, it is fun and funny, and it's really cool.
And the name of the book and when it's coming out?
We're thinking mid-October on the release date, and it's called Mythian.
That's awesome. Can't wait to read that. So, yeah. Rolling back over the years, there's too much to squeeze into this conversation, and
Right.
way too much. And like stuff just keeps rolling through my head. I'm like, we got to talk about that. But so as you know, we this week just released the HFA Palladium, which is another lineup in the HFA line. Almost sold out. They are going extremely fast. And, in the early days, we co-developed Neocode, which was a precursor to Aquaware. And then we co-developed Aquaware 2006, 2007, I think. No, it was released on 2007. And we've kind of since then worked a lot on our own projects, and we've worked on other projects together, which then had become viable products in the world. But the one product that I really want to bring to light is this guy. Can you tell us about this a little bit?
I probably ought to finish on Mythian real quick.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
All I was going to say is that every secret to becoming powerful is embedded in that book. Every secret worth knowing is in it, and you could literally turn it into practicable anything you wanted to. But one of the cool things that's going to be happening with the entire thing is that we're going to build a website around the novel so that it can be read online, and it'll have all the functionality of Kindle, but it will have forums and on and on, that people can get explication on some of the deeper esoteric ideas in it. And that's the bigger part about this, because it's going to become a movement.
Not unlike the first wave movement in 2005.
Right. All right. Yeah, let's get on with the pyramid.
So I've had this for, it's got to be going on 5 years. This is a product that you developed years ago, and you decided to take these to mass market. Um, Tell us a little bit about this one and what it does. I'll speak about my experience a little bit with it and how the new ones are being designed.
Do you want to go into Merlin a little bit on this?
Sure.
Um, One of the things that is most interesting about, again, you and I can hardly have a conversation and not get into some pretty deep esoteric stuff. But tin, happens to be one of the most alchemical substances there is, and that's why it played such a prominent role in Wizard of Oz as an example, and Tin Man, right? And it's about the what resides in tin as heart energy, as an example. And so those pyramids are made out of tin, 80% tin and 20% silver. And the silver is actually what grounds it. So the more silver there is, the more earthy it is. And we tried to find the balance for it between how it was going to flow information from higher spheres. And so you could probably look at this yourself, but what Merlin and Company did is they created a 5D geometric form that exists purely to feed these pyramids. And what they do, can you see that geometric form?
Yeah.
On the 5D level?
Yeah.
They what they do is simply clear everything within their footprint. And so they, as an example, I don't know, I think you could probably tell your audience just how big the radius is around where that unit is as we speak on what it clears.
So the radius will fluctuate depending on what's needed in the moment in real time. So that
Okay.
can be, a space of 6 feet or 6,000 miles.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense. And so, in a lot of ways, these are both beneficial for whoever gets them to clear home, because that's what it'll do. You can walk around and sage a home, or you can just put this one right in the middle of it, and it'll do the same thing. And it will reach into anything into either neighbors' homes, apparently, if that is what is needed. But it will also clear the person, and it'll maintain it. It's like having a nice little engine that just keeps that clearing work going as 24/7.
Do you know where I've had this for the last 5 years?
On your business card, if I remember right.
It's been on this old business card that was supplied with it, but do you know where it's been in my space? It's been in my
No.
workshop for 5 years.
Wow.
So this one is vastly different from the one that's now being mass produced. You want to talk a little bit about how you used to create these and the beauty
Yeah,
of what's coming?
I happen to have a mold. They're actually the exact proportions, meaning the corner angles and the base are all the same as the Great Pyramid, which is, all pyramids are powerful, but that one happens to be very good at earth energy. And so at the beginning, you might recall that I had a copper pipe pyramid big enough to lie down in. And you remember that? And, it was kind of cool, but it was not tuned, as it were. And the mold, the capstone for it was a stainless steel thing about that tall. And I just had this feeling one day that I needed I had some silver and tin together, and I just, what, I'm going to melt that. And I did, and I thought, what, I'm going to melt it again and pour it into this thing. And I did, and wound up shaping it and things. I don't think I bounced it off you. I bounced it off another super seer, and he said, "Holy moly, that thing is actually putting it out. That can do some work. Maybe we need to tighten it up and all that." And I thought, why not? It's they were fun to make, and I was making them by hand, and then we found out about that geometric form that was built by those guys, and the full scope of what it was doing. As you know, its job niche is pretty clear and pretty straightforward. It's just it clears stuff.
So the for me, the power lies in the simplicity of it. So this is one of the original ones that you created.
Right.
And for me, when you have the amount of products that MDM puts out and the space that it takes up, this has always been right at the forefront. Just the products, they clean themselves, but this has been cleaning the space as they come in. It's been pretty mind-blowing, and just as I'm holding it, it's like an old friend waking up. I haven't held it this much since the day I got it. Right. I had to brush some of the dust off it to bring it in. So we had a conversation a few months back about taking these to market on a much larger scale, bringing the price point down from what they originally sold for and getting them into people's hands. Can you tell us a little bit about the time frame when we can expect these to hit the market?
I think we're probably, although I haven't received a notice, I should soon, no matter what, that they're shipping. And so we should have them here, I would think within 10 days, 10 to 14 days.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. And I think I think they're going to be ship ready. I'm going to do some things to them to make sure that they're where they need to be. Energetically, I'm gonna raise them another level or two, but I think we're gonna be able to roll them out within 3-4 weeks, maybe sooner.
Great. Well, we're gonna definitely be doing another Zoom conference call like this for the launch as we get a little bit closer, and then we'll make people aware of where they can buy them from. Very excited about this. It's noticeable where I have it, but it's transparent. So in the silence that it puts out, therein lays the power that it puts forth, right?
Right.
Silent is magical.
Yeah, it does.
Magical.
There's no question. They very quietly go about their work. But what I'm sensing on the one that you've got there in your hand, that it is starting to amp up, because it's kind of connected to everything that's coming, and so there's a momentum building behind it all.
Do you know what's happening right now? Do you remember the first time I met you? You were showing me things in your home, and you pulled out a piece of steel plate. I don't know, like this, and you said, "What is it doing?" And I said, "It's creating that vortex." Do you remember that?
Right.
This is doing the same thing, and it's like products that we create. The more attention you give it, the stronger it's going to work for you. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger you get. I always knew it'd come full circle at some point.
Yeah, and it's also true that the for all intents and purposes, everybody who owns one, no matter what, each of their units is still connected.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And through that, everybody is both amping up their own and amping up everybody else's.
Yeah.
And that's what excites the crap out of me, because it's, you know, it's a group without knowing that they're a group, so to speak, and still, you know, working on empowering each other, you know, through those units. Is
But
kind of how it works.
I always tell people that just because we come out with a second or third generation of something, whatever it is, you know, as a creator, as you expand, grow, and learn and evolve, the power that goes into whatever the new generation is actually backwards compatible and lifts it up. But it's not like buying a car or a PC. You know, you know, you can put more memory in it, but eventually it's going to die. But you
Yeah,
know, the
but people,
quality of the products as they go back, it actually
right,
raises the vibration of them. It's pretty
right,
insane.
right, right.
So that means the more you come out with, the better this is going to get.
Right. And the ones that are coming, by the way, are 10, at least 10 grams heavier than that one. So they're going to be a little bit bigger.
This is pretty heavy.
Yeah, I think that one came out 25 grams, and I think our specs called for 33.
The new ones are 33.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to be gorgeous too. I already know it.
Are they going to come polished?
I don't. I think we told them to leave them as a sort of a brushed polished look, I guess is the way to put it. You know, when those things are polished, they're pretty easy to sort of make kind of, you know, foggy, as it
Be like
were.
shiny things. Things that all right, good. So we'll get back together again in a few weeks for the premiere of the Pyramid product when it's available, and you'll be able to let everyone know where they can get them. That's awesome. Jason, thank you very much for your time. It's always a pleasure.
Did you? Should we talk about the project and funding at that time? What do you think?
Not yet.
Okay.
When we come to the premiere of these, we'll talk about that a little, or maybe we'll do another conference separate from that. I don't want to take away from the energy that's been laid down on this product tonight. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Right. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, sir.
Catch up later.
Master.
Yeah.